and gentlemen, to season 2, episode 17 of the Fortinet session with your host Chris Dorn of XenTegra and co-host Israel Quintero. Hey,
howdy,
Israel. Today we have a special guest from Fortinet. Emanuel Cole is joining us. So, hey there, Emanuel.
Good afternoon.
Thanks.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank y'all for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. So,
glad
Emanuel,
to have you, man.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of great things, and leading up to just kicking this thing off, sounds like you guys have a pretty good relationship. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool.
Yeah, so one thing for the audience out there and listening is that me and Emanuel used to work together at Fortinet. So we spent some great times, a lot of training within each other, different products. So he's definitely an engineer at heart, but he got a new role.
All right.
So
yeah.
See, so you're a territory account manager now, huh?
Yeah, I went over to the deep darker side of sales, I guess, is if that's a fair term. So it's been an interesting journey. It's been one that I've been trying to make for a while, to become an account manager and move up the ladder. I'm glad to be here, though. I can bring the best of both worlds of sales and technical and merge them all into one person and one body and do some really great things.
Yeah, I'm looking at your LinkedIn. So you were a sales engineer for a year and a half or a little over that, and then moved on up to the TAM role. So from what we've always kind of seen, a technical salesperson is pretty powerful. You know, it's,
yes, sir.
If you know how it works and you don't have to rely on pinging people for questions and looking for stuff, you know, you shoot from the hip there. It's pretty powerful in conversations with developing solutions with customers.
Absolutely. Nothing more dangerous than an account manager that can do his own demo and close the deal.
Amen.
So he's actually one of the person that I always go when it comes to FortiSASE. He is the man for that. And if he tells you, let me find out, he definitely finds out. So definitely
Nice.
is a great resource and a great friend of mine. I mean, me and him became very close. So I'm proud of him.
Cool.
He finally got what he wanted.
Thank you. Proud of you too, bud, man. And Israel, you know, the journey with Israel, just for full disclosure, Israel was my mentoring buddy coming into Fortinet, and he helped me on board and find out the ways of the land and figure out who's who in the zoo inside of Fortinet, and really got my feet wet as far as getting them planted on solid ground and moving forward in the organization, even for me to get to this point, to be an account manager and have the success that I've had in the organization. So hats off to you, buddy. Appreciate you. That's why, you know, I still answer your calls when you call and make sure that, you know, I take care of you, because I owe you, man. It's homage. Really.
Nah, man, it's a pleasure and always an honor to meet with new people and great people like you. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And so like the sassy evangelist, that's my nickname inside the organization, because if you talk bad about sassy on Teams, I'm coming over the top and beating it down real fast, because, you know, I know there's a number of vendors out there that clout to have number one SASE and all this other great stuff and great talking points. But when you're talking about market leaders in SD-WAN and the most deployed firewall and the number one next generation firewall on the planet, nobody delivers that better than Fortinet. And with the ecosystem that we have, the SASE offering that we've put together, that's not a one size fit all offering. Nobody does SASE better than Fortinet. And that's why I love the product so much, because I know the capabilities of what it can do, the challenges it can solve, and the value it can bring to organizations.
Nice.
And there's the reason I always go to him about that.
Gotcha. That kind of brings us back around to, you know, the FortiSASE solution being as awesome as it is, but, you know, a lot of customers, they need help on that journey, and part of that is the services. So both XenTegra, and the topic of our discussion here for this podcast is services both from the Fortinet side and the XenTegra side. So we're starting to see more traction on the FortiSASE components as far as services that we're becoming engaged in, which is great. I mean, we're stepping out of the traditional FortiGate, FortiSwitch AP kind of conversations, starting to look at some of those components that are hosted in the cloud. And 9 times out of 10, you're finding that customers, in the logical sense, it seems super easy to kind of put it together, and ultimately it is. But there's a couple of knobs you got to turn there, a couple switches and considerations. So the services piece is something I think it's one of those better together kind of stories. So
absolutely.
On that topic here, we wanted to spend some time talking about how Fortinet proper can help you on the services side, from the technical support, advanced support, professional services as well. And then we would like to cover what XenTegra can offer our customers as far as support goes.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah, man. So
always.
I was sorry. Go ahead. I was gonna say this is your show, man. You're the Fortinet guy now. You're the Forti guy. So you do your thing.
That's a lot of pressure. Man, all I was going to say is, better together, always the story. There's no better partner than XenTegra, and the value that they bring, the skill sets they have in-house, along with Fortinet. We walk and co-pilot together to be able to deliver the value for our customers on a daily basis, whether it's from our support team. We have a follow the sun model on support team with multiple levels of support engagement for our customers, as well as a best of breed professional service portfolio that can deliver on the value of delivering world-class solutions to our end customers, whether that is in conjunction with our partners or enabling our partners to be successful in delivering those values to our end customers. So the story is always together, better together than, it's just Fortinet versus XenTegra or whoever. We're always in lockstep with our partners to make sure that we make sure you guys are successful, because when you're successful, we're successful, and our customers are successful.
Amen to that.
Do me a favor. What is that script that you just remembered?
Oh, the memorized script? So
yeah. Man.
So we here at Fortinet do everything we can to ensure our partners' success. We want to make sure that our partners are successful in their journey to deploying out solutions and bringing the value back to our customers for the success of our partners themselves, as well as Fortinet in a whole.
Do you have to recite that in a room to a particular single person? Because I'm just, for our listeners, Israel is laughing very hard right now. So I guess there's some history behind this.
Oh, I tell it to him every time he calls me. No better way to enable our partners. We're here to help and support you in your journey, man. So every time he calls me, I give him the spill. So it's down pat.
It is. In that case, that's now you know how many times I've been calling him. See how much faith I have in this man. I guess I will take credit that you learned that.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I mean, without you, I'd have to practice this speech on my wife, and I don't think she wants to hear it. I'm gonna take out the kids or the dogs. Yeah, that's not gonna work.
So yeah. What's new, man, with the FortiCare services? Anything new out there that came about? I know you guys pushing a lot of the what is that? SOC as a service.
SOC as a service, yeah. So we started a new offering within the Fortinet portfolio with SOC as a service. And what it is it's basically a managed FortiGate service. And so it can be from a customized state of work all the way to a full-on managed offering with our SOC as a service offering. And what we mean by that is that when we're talking about a customized statement of work, we can either work with your existing partner community, such as XenTegra, and be on the back end doing the monitoring and supporting of that FortiGate or your Fortinet environment. And once we have an alert, we have SLA based. So tier 1 anomaly is 15 minutes before a NOC analyst gets back and alerts the customer after they've done their initial investigations to figure out what's going on. And then we move down to 1 hour and then 4 hours. And then based on those 3 tiers of the customized engagement, we can provide that support level back to our customers and ensure that their FortiGates are up to date, address any types of anomaly issues or any types of support issues with the FortiGate, and handle that all in-house with our customers as well as our partners together. So whether our partners are reselling the SOC as a service offering through Fortinet or providing it on their own. We have a customized statement of work to be able to meet the customer and the partner where they are.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
Super flexible, get the customer what they need, because ultimately, yeah, the better together. That's a perfect example of that.
Absolutely. And then, we still have the standard support offerings for our on-site support for next business day, of course. We work hand in hand with our customers to make sure we reduce their downtime, the impacts to their environment, so that they can do one very important thing: rest easy, that they know that they're covered by Fortinet.
So we got on the list there, technical support, advanced support, and then the professional services. So I think there's a clear differentiator between the others and professional services. But is there overlap at all with the technical support and advanced support?
Absolutely. There's always overlap between the two, and they work hand in hand. So it's not that once we come in and you've got a statement of work and our deployment engineers are finished with the job, that you're left alone. That overlap and that transfer, or that warm handoff to our support team from our professional service team, is done lock and step with each department, so that we always know, no matter where you are in your journey as far as deployment, we know where you are. Everyone has a good understanding of where you are, what the products are in hand, what the environment looks like, and being able to keep you going without any disruption to your organization or your operation. That's the way we work.
Awesome. And that's what everybody expects now, and that's what we aim to deliver.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
And one of the things that when it comes to the technical, right, they have different locations around the world to be able to support you guys. I mean, from all the way in the US alone, they have like 7 of them. But they support the EMEA, the Apex, into different regions. So it does. There's pretty much coverage everywhere.
Yeah, the support model is a follow the sun model. So when the sun is up in your territory, there's an operations center or support center in that territory to support you, whether it's EMEA, APJ, the US, Canada, etc. We have operations all across the globe to be able to support you in your endeavors.
So similar to that, we are heading down that path as well. So XenTegra, and more specifically our MSP, we have folks who are physically located in different geographical regions of the world. We just started XenTegra Private, which is Bangalore, India based. So there's a gentleman over there that's getting ramped up. I think he's teed up and trained himself to the point he's ready to take his NSE 4. So that's kind of having comfort. I want to share that, you can have comfort in that we are investing heavily in our staff as well, so that we can, make sure that the Fortinet investment is successful for the customers. Now, we might not be able to run a firewall over to you to replace a DOA unit or something that might not happen. We might still we'll have to piggyback off of Fortinet to help with that. But we will have somebody who can answer your questions or help with troubleshooting.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'll maybe play into what XenTegra can offer at this point. So, I mean, we got a couple of folks in the US that work under our portfolio of Fortinet as a managed service. So ideally, when we kind of got into this, it was, we're going to invest in FortiGates and use that as the capability to extend customer networks into our MSP and become an extension of that for DR as a service, maybe just even backups. Maybe one of the offerings is that customers just want monitoring and alerting, and somebody to call them and not have to, dig through their email to see if something happened. So that was kind of the idea behind how we kind of positioned that. And so we invested in some pretty hefty FortiGates in the East Coast and West Coast. So they're very similar. And depending on if the customer has overseas presence, they might terminate on the West Coast. They're coming in from Asia, or everybody on the East Coast customer base, their first point of entry will be through the East Coast deployments that we have. But we have a full call center ticketing system, a lot of ServiceNow integration as well. So there's automation that's capable with the with the options that we're able to offer customers. And not only that, becoming establishing like a gateway for communication between the customers and our MSP. We also offer the capabilities with Fortinet Manager, Fortinet Analyzer, and of course, professional services from XenTegra as well. So, and a lot of our deployments, we'll treat it as a project. We'll come in with a professional services team and put everything into place, and then hand off to our MSP when they're ready and have finalized and checked off all the boxes on the deployment where they'll manage it. And then you become part of the XenTegra family. So I like to look at it like that.
Excellent.
Yeah,
So
one
similar, but not we don't have SOC as a service quite yet, but it's there's conversations about those components, and you guys have definitely been in a lot of conversations with us being able to offer that through you, because without you guys kind of spearheading that and offering and simplifying it for customers, we wouldn't be able to do that.
Right.
Not at this
Absolutely.
point.
Absolutely. And what we try to do is that, enabling our partners to be successful is the heart of what we do. And Fortinet is a partner first community. And so we want to ensure that our partners have everything they need to be successful. And so when you're looking at the SOC as a service offering, that offering is very unique when you're looking at what the power of Fortinet brings to the table from our standpoint. These are not just analysts that we find somewhere and come and sit down in a cube and work on and try to do alerting. These are FortiGuard, Fortinet trained engineers that go through our rigorous training certification. Israel knows as well as I know, when you first come into Fortinet, there's a requirement. Whereas you come in an NSE, you've got to obtain your NSE 5 within 18 months of employment. And that's one of the hearts of, the strength of Fortinet is making sure that every engineer that comes in the door is well trained on the products and understand. And another good benefit to Fortinet is a lot of the former engineers or engineers that we currently have are people that will come from the customer side in the field that have run our systems, have deployed our systems in the past, that have very deep and integral knowledge on those systems to come in and run them and work for us at some point in time and enhance their career and go on to be, a pre-sales engineer or a solutions engineer tied to a specific product or vertical for Fortinet, deploying out these types of systems. So these engineers on the back end, with the power of FortiGuard Labs, one of the world's best threat intelligence laboratories, brings a different level of service than any other vendor out there. And it helps make our partners like XenTegra more powerful in that discussion.
Oh yeah, it most certainly does.
Yeah, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize that the FortiGuard Labs has one of the top ethical, well, I'll say white hackers. If you guys didn't know, there's 3 levels of hackers: white, there's a gray, and a black. Of course, the black one is the bad one. But the white, there's a lot of white hackers, and there are over 100 some people in there trying to protect and making sure that everybody's up to date. Just not on the FortiGate, but on every Fortinet appliance that is definitely having that security. So it's one of the things that people don't really realize, that they're doing those type of services within each other and to provide it to all their customers, and actually interacting with different vendors such as Symantec and other AVs out there, to making sure that everybody is having the same things.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That kind of plays in not only the labs, but extending outside of Fortinet. And I was just chatting about this with one of our inside sales reps earlier. He was asking for, he's having conversations with customers. Every now and then he comes up against a hard hitter, like one of the Palo, might come up from time to time. And they're like, well, they have better signatures, or they have this or that, and it's like, well, quite honestly, they're in the Cyber Threat Alliance, and that was kind of new to them. And I'm like, look at the charter members of this alliance, You know, it's the biggest hitters in security at the moment, you know, and they share that information between them pretty openly.
Well,
Yes, sir.
Fortinet and
was
Palo,
one of
they were
one of the
the
founders.
co-founders.
That's right.
Yep.
So
And
they don't have better signatures. They have the same signatures as we do because we share information. So
Yep.
I like.
Kind of hearing that.
Yeah, and then
you cut off a little bit there, buddy.
I'll apologize. Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah.
Okay. It's kind of interesting having that conversation with customers, and they don't realize that, Fortinet being one of the founding members and one of the co-founders with PAN, and they're not understanding that, and they're talking about, well, PAN has better signatures and they have a better threat intelligence. That's because they're getting a lot of their information from us as well, because we share information with our members of CERN. And one of the things you have to realize is that Fortinet is one of the most deployed next generation firewalls in the world. We have over 360,000 firewalls that have been deployed to date. That gives us a much deeper dive into networks and understanding what real threats are out there versus our competitor, because all that information, all that threat intelligence is coming from our sentinels back to FortiGuard Labs for analysis. And then we're sharing that information as we're getting those threats intelligence with our partners at CERN.
And one thing I have mentioned it before here in other previous podcasts, that Fortinet has a how can I say it? It's as a blessing and a curse at the same time, that they're very transparent.
Mm-hmm.
And when something happens, Fortinet is out there very quick out there telling you, hey, there's something wrong.
We need you
and
to patch.
A lot of people, they're like, man, what is Fortinet doing again? Well, how come they can't get this? But people don't realize that other vendors have issues, but they don't tell you.
Exactly. And they quietly patch stuff, and you don't understand what the patches are or why they were applied. And then you're left to wonder what's going on, especially if something happens, if you have a breach or an anomaly of infect your network, and you do a forensic analysis on the network, and you understand that it was a CVE or security patch that should have been addressed, that wasn't addressed. How did we miss this? Well, no one told us. We don't leave you in that boat. We make sure that, yes, we're overly transparent, but we like to be overly transparent. Our founders, Ken and Michael Z, are two former engineers who built this company from the ground up, and they do everything from the engineering standpoint. That's why you see Fortinet as an engineering first company, not a marketing first company.
And it comes back to the services again, right? That's the reason Fortinet is very transparent, because of those services. They have that capability of like telling you, we're going to stop, refound this, we're going to stop this, we're going to build this, we're going to fix this, and you need any type of help, we can do it.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing that other companies, I would like to know, how's that burger made, right? Before I eat it. Is it
and
real beef?
We'll tell you what the secret sauce. We'll tell you what the secret sauce is.
Yeah.
We don't have a problem with that. That's how transparent we are, because we know
our products around it.
We got patents around it.
That's right.
We've got more patents than any other security vendor in the market. We lead the industry in patents. As I said before, we're an engineering first company, not a marketing first company. Our products speak for themselves, and that's why we have number one SD-WAN, number one firewall. We have over 50 plus products within our portfolio that are tightly integrated within the portfolio itself to provide layered security approach for a layered security fabric. You couple that with our professional services team, plus our back-end support teams and our FortiGuard Labs on top of that. There's no better vendor that can provide security, orchestration, administration, and services than Fortinet.
Well, one other thing I do want to put is that Fortinet actually starts seeing that people need to be specialized on certain products, and that's it. Yeah. Right. And going back to like the EDR, they offer a managed service, and there's one thing that's called best practice.
Yes, now, the BPS service.
Yep. And one of the best things that I like about that, yes, it's a lot of money, but people don't realize these people who they're going to talk to is not that tier 1 person. These are the people that live and breathe that product. And they will be showing you the best practices, how to create things. They walk you through every single step. And
Right.
it's not your typical tier 1. Is their tier 1 is like a tier 5 or higher. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
it's really more like a co-pilot. I mean, when you're thinking about the BPS services, that service walks you through, taking the box out, taking everything out of the box, getting it set up, pushing down the policies through the administration, and even essentially training the trainer to some extent, where when you're left from the BPS service, you have a good understanding how to operationalize your product set. You know how to run it, you know how to administer it, and you're not left just trying to figure it out or read the guide to figure it out. Now, one other offering we've come out with is our Quick Start offering. And that's for, you've got a FortiGate, but you don't really have the staff and you just need somebody to come in, set it up for you right quick, get the policies pushed out and roll. It's usually a 1-day service or a couple hours, depending upon the level of engagement that needs to be done. But the Quick Start service is a great value add service for any of our customers that really just don't have the time to go ahead and deploy the solutions out. And it's a much simplified offering than what we do with the BPS. The BPS is based on best practices, whereas Quick Start is just an initial engagement to get the system set up and get you operationalized and up and running.
that's interesting. That's actually my first time ever hearing it.
Yeah,
Pretty
it's just
neat.
come out recently as far as the Quick Start service.
Wow. So, I mean, we could probably go on for days about the services, and it comes back to me when I hear the word services. It feels like a lot of folks, not only myself, but our customers, they kind of view the services as like a project. But like we're touching on points that, people will never see because the technology's doing it for you, but they need to know that there's services behind that are to make it happen. There's real people, real experts that are working around the clock to make sure that those signatures are up to date, to make sure that those SOC as a services, the analysts are actually, they're capable and acting upon those alerts that they're generated and sent up to them. And it's like the services is very broad, very deep.
Yes, it is. It really is. And the analysts that sit behind the scenes that perform this work, whether we have, we have this internal joke that we have an engineer available for $3K a day. And, that engineer is dedicated to you. And, the joke is that if you want him to empty trash cans, clean windows, or define policies, that's his job. And so he'll come in, and we're not, promoting our engineers to go empty trash cans and clean windows, but it's more of that they're there to help you be successful as a customer. He's not there with just a limited engagement. He's there for 8 hours to basically sit with you and walk with you in your deployment journey.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Make sure everybody's got it in there the way that it should be with the recommended practices and that they're going to be safe. We've always got to change stuff, though. That's one of the things about the industry. Nothing sits still with these ones and zeros. So,
no, sir.
Yeah, so always something coming up, isn't there? That keeps us on our toes, though.
Look, when you talk about the services, like there's a broad portfolio of services from, architectural and design services, just as XenTegra offers. Fortinet, whether we're doing a wireless survey, site survey to, provide a heat map and map out where wireless access points need to go for best coverage, whether that's in a football stadium or in a warehouse. It really doesn't matter. We have those services available, whether that's, understanding if you're doing a full-on conversion where we're coming in and replacing a competitor. We have FortiConverter service where that's a professional services that no other vendor that I know of offers that kind of service, where we can take 90% of the policies and settings that are in an existing firewall, competitor firewall, and export that out and then load it into our firewall and have that up and running without having to reduplicate or reinvent the wheel in most cases. That's what the power of Fortinet brings to the table along with our partners.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, pointing out right there is like the technology has enabled savings for the customers. I mean, if you walked into an environment and they had, 120 policies, say, just an example, and that's billable time. You got
Yes.
a person has to like analyze those and see what they're actually touching, what needs to transpose from the other vendor over to the FortiGate, and it's like that's been built into basically just load it in there, run it, and then you get that converted script that we just load into the config file, upload it into the FortiGate, and you're off to the races. I mean, that's tons of savings right there alone. Because a lot of people don't want to redo everything that they have. We were in a conversation last week though. The young lady was like, I don't know what we build in here. I want to start from the ground zero and build it back up because there's probably a lot of junk in here. And we see that every now and then. But there's a lot of shops where they put a lot of time into it themselves, and they're like, look, we're not paying these silly prices from these competitors anymore. We're going to move over to you guys. Save some money, but I want to bring what we were doing over to this new platform. So you guys have enabled that with the FortiConverter service, for example.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
that's one thing that what I have told people when they tell me like, now I want to start from scratch. I'm like, that's good and dandy. Don't get me wrong, but how about we still extract everything from there and put it on the new one? Doesn't mean that we're going to actually implement them, like you're going to utilize them, but it's there as a template to activate if you need it. So it's always good to have that, and because you can always edit it from there.
You built it for a reason.
Exactly.
So you don't want to necessarily junk it.
And
no, absolutely not.
Make some money, like you mentioned. So
well, look, the three things companies are short on right now: skill sets, time, and money. And so if we can come in and help augment and solve those challenges for the customer, along with our partners at XenTegra, that's the value that we're bringing. We're helping you save time, save money, and augment your resources. And based on the resources you have, we can even help train them, bring them up to speed so that you have a stronger, better workforce inside your organization.
Yep.
Yeah. Amen.
And that's one of the biggest things that we're heavily investing, right? Finding that expertise, because you mentioned it, there's not a lot of people, they're struggling on that. A lot of people cannot maintain them either.
Right.
So it's always good to partner up with partner-ups like with us, with XenTegra, that we're able to help you out. I'm not talking about other vendor. I mean, other vendors are there to help you guys too, but you got to know who you're getting into, and are they really there to be on your best for you, or they just want to take your money? But Fortinet does have that evaluations, reoffer evaluations. I mean, we're there to do pretty much anything that the customer needs and requires.
That's a great point, Israel. When you're talking about other organizations and the value that XenTegra brings to the table when evaluating a customer's network, Fortinet has had a long history of providing CTAPs.
Yep.
The CTAP program is a value add program that's a free program, to be honest with you. And a lot of customers don't take advantage of it, but it's really a security assessment. And we basically send you a box, you put it on your network, and it just goes out and does its job. And what we mean by does its job is that it's going to start looking at the network, looking at the devices, looking at how everything is configured. And then we're going to bring you back a report, basically a threat assessment report, to basically tell you, here's what we found in your network. Here are the holes. Here's what we need to remedy. And here's how we can work together to get that solved for you. And that's a free service that we're offering for our customers. We try to bring value to our customers versus just bringing a bill to say, hey, look, you need to buy some more stuff. Yes, we are a sales organization, but we are a security organization that wants to help our customers be secure so that they can do their jobs and not worry about their networks.
And especially if any customer out there is listening, or anybody listening, and you are wondering, well, is my current vendor helping me? Is it really protecting me? The CTAP comes in there.
Yes.
And
let us run a CTAP for you.
and it's free. You cannot beat free. So it's not, you're not going to lose. It's not going to interrupt your flow of data, nothing. It's actually just going to do a port mirroring. You're only going to, it's going to mirror every single thing that's going on. And it's going to check, okay, I got it. I got it. I got this. And we're going to compare it. Did he get it or did we get it?
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest things that about the CTAP, that is, I mean, if you don't have a actual physical location like a data center and everything is in the cloud, but you have a other vendor, hey, guess what? We actually do a VM.
Yes, we do. We have a
And
CTAP VM.
Yeah, not only that, mail. We're there's a
For the
CTAP for
mail.
mail.
Yeah.
Your SD-WAN.
Mm-hmm.
If you think you need to work on your SD-WAN or how to improve it, come on, guys, it's free. What is that new one? That other CTAP?
OT CTAP.
OT,
yes, the OT
CTAP.
for operational technology. Yes, sir.
Yes.
That's a new program we launched out as well, behind dark networks or off networks, to be able to go out and analyze those types of networks, understand the PCL logic boards, all the different SCADA controls, et cetera, and have a good understanding of that environment, show you where the holes are, and be able to bring back a deliverable report that you can go and compare with your current security vendor and say, hey, well, they're saying this and you're saying that. This is the power of FortiGuard Labs, what they bring to the table.
That's right. And it's a free service, like you stated. And it's like, take advantage of us, use us. Don't be the next Colonial Pipeline. You know, we're here to help prevent that, keep you out of the newspapers.
Yeah, and I'm going back to FortiGuard again. And for any security person out there, if you caught something and you want to know if Fortinet knows about it, guess what? Just go to FortiGuard.labs or FortiGuardLabs.com. And they will have everything there. And you can put that name and it will show if Fortinet has it or not.
Yep, and you punch that name into a search, they'll show you the corresponding CVE documents that are associated with it, how to remedy it, all of the information about that, who all knows about it, and all the documentation around it. That is also a free service on FortiGuardLabs.com. So it's not like we charge for all of this stuff. We give a lot of stuff away for free that other vendors charge you for.
Like the training, free training.
Like the training, yes.
Free training.
I mean, you know, we started going out into the K-12 space, into the college space with our trainings to be able to start ramping up the workforce of the future and train these young people into the cybersecurity industry and help them get their certifications so they can come in and work. That is a great program that we're trying to constantly expand on each and every day. I actually want to start one here in my hometown, to start working with young kids and mentoring them to bring the workforce of the future together.
Heck yeah, I've seen that recently. I think it was up in the Pacific Northwest. Some of the Fortinet teams up there were in the schools, and just the turnout and the feedback and the pictures alone, it was like, that's beautiful. You know, these kids are getting super equipped with the tools that they're going to need to work it all in this industry. And myself too, you know, where Rena Andrews that works with me as an intern, you know, really in the past couple summers, she's been working with us, and she's going down, getting ready for her NSE4 as well. You know, just what she thought she knew when she first started chatting with me versus what she knows today. It's a whole different world. And the sooner, it's like riding a bike. The sooner you start on learning to ride a bike, the better you're going to be at it. You know, the faster you're going to be able to compete or ride down a mountain, or, you know, you just have that feel that it's a part of you, basically.
And one thing that I like about the Fortinet, the education, they're free, and the level 1 and 2 are focused on basics, not Fortinet. It's just basic network, basic security, and then the third level start learning some of your Fortinet products, and then you can start learning a little bit more advanced for free. Now you do pay for the labs. I mean, I don't know the number top of my head, but you can pay for the labs. But if a lot of people or like, I don't want to put no names, but Cisco offer those. But I mean, they have some great labs, but you got to pay lots of money for it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. The Fortinet ones, I think, were about $300. But like, if you look at that versus again a full virtualized infrastructure ready to start kicking the tires on it, you're saving yourself so much time versus building your own
Yes.
server, loading your own stuff up, procuring the pieces, even if they're open source and free.
Right.
It still takes a ton of time because 99% of the time you probably haven't used that virtualized router before.
Yeah.
So you gotta go
right.
down, go watching YouTube videos. Before you know it, you got that router up and running, but you just burned a week of time. If some of those core pieces are already like kind of built up for you, that's a minimal ask, for standing up the ability to really kick the tires on the solution
this
sets
is
from Fortinet.
for any company too, right? Like how we're talking about, they don't have the expertise. Guess what,
Mhm.
guys? There's the free training.
Yeah.
Free
Yeah.
training.
And on top of that, you go to docs.fortinet.com. There's a free library that's open. There's no login required. There's no, you have to have products owned by Fortinet and have an active valid support subscription and all this stuff like most of our competitors have. That docs.fortinet.com site is there for the general public to go and become abreast on everything Fortinet. That includes the admin guides, the cookbooks, the how-to documents, all that's in that site, available and ready for the general public to use and consume as they need to.
And not only that, great point on that one. And anybody who's learning FortiGate and you do get a Fortinet FortiGate, if you go to any of those tabs to create like a new policy or something like that, one thing you will learn that on the far right, it gives you that document. As soon as you click that document, it takes you directly to that spot, to that version, to everything to learn about that.
Yes,
It's
sir.
so easy.
Built into the console. It's a console-based training center
Oh yeah.
on the FortiGate. And then, to that point, even when we do our threat rating scores on the FortiGates themselves, and you're starting to drill down into each one of them where you're trying to resolve, let's say you got an F in a certain area and you're trying to get up to at least a D, they'll actually give you the steps on how to improve your rating, kind of like Credit Sesame is for the firewall, but for your, for your
Yeah, the
credit score, but for your
security.
firewall. Yeah, it's a security one. And if you click on each one of the recommendations, they have a document list next to it that tells you how to remediate this threat or this deficiency in your firewall. That's all built into the console. You never have to flip out of the console to go and do these things. When we talk about single pane of glass, we truly mean single pane of glass.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate using that word. I hate using that word.
I
But,
know.
but
Because
if you,
I know, but it finally fits. Like this is
it
where it
does.
really is single pane of glass. So I like using it in this case. In other cases, when they say it the past, yeah, when you got to flip between 3 or 4 windows, that's not single pane of glass.
Exactly. And be able to manage your switches and APs from there too.
From the same
Like,
pane. Yeah.
and one of the beauty things that I love about it is that when you go to that topology there, you can see what devices are connected to the AP, and I mean the Forti AP. You'll
Right.
see the number of devices, people connected to what port on the switch or whatever. It's literally there. You click on that, and it will give you different bubbles. The size of the bubble means more of the throughput they've been utilizing of that. So it's very easy.
Yeah.
It is
And then
just unlimited options here. The Fast Track series hosted by Fortinet or by XenTegra. We're ramping up some of ours. The webinars on both sides again, XenTegra or Fortinet webinars. I mean, that just the education services are unlimited. There's no reason why nobody should take advantage of it.
absolutely not. And then don't forget about our in-field marketing events. So, the lunch and learns, the whiskey hours, or the sample tastings where if you want to sit at home and have a bourbon flask or a tequila flask, they're doing the whiskey and tequila tastings. There's different marketing events going around that have training built into it. So you can do it from the comfort of your own home.
Are
Really
they still
depends on
doing
how you want
those?
to. They are still doing those.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Yeah, they do ship you everything. and it's having the experience in your private home.
Yeah. Really cool
That's
the way they
right.
do the marketing.
I mean, nowadays, a lot of people are getting rid of those offices for what's the need, right?
Right.
But
I mean, you look at our workforce, so majority of us are remote, and we work from our home offices, and achieve and do great things for the organization from our home offices. And I know there's been some pushback, but it seems to be working from your home is not a bad thing, and people are really getting it done. And we're a great
actually, I
example of that.
feel like you work more.
You work more when you're at home than you do in
Yeah.
the office. Yeah, you do. I can't stop passing my monitors and not, wake them up and log in and see what's going on or what did I miss. And yeah, it's been
Oh,
a
you
different
come
journey.
and just, if you know you don't have to put your camera on, I'll be in my pajamas and working already. As soon as I drop all the kids, I'm already at work. I'm like, what
Yeah.
am I doing? But
Yeah.
that's
I,
the
I,
life.
yeah, pretty much. I wake my keyboard up and log in before I touch the coffee pot these days. So that's a switch for me. I usually have to touch the coffee pot first before I get started, but now these days I'm touching the keyboard before I touch the coffee pot.
Yes. And then
So
I'll
That's
go
right.
get my coffee.
I do
then I
too.
go get the.
I've always got
Yeah,
one
that's good.
monitor they don't want to warm up in the mornings. It's like the computer has to be like logged into for about
It's
5
still
minutes.
sleep.
So
It's
it
still
does.
got
It
cold.
does.
It's got cold inside trying to wake up.
It does. I'm like, come on. So I've learned to crank that up and get it warmed up, and then I go get my cup of coffee and come back, and then it's usually okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But one of the things that, well, I really appreciate, Emmanuel, that you came, and it's always a pleasure having you and always talking to you. But it was a great learning for me. I still learned some things. What's going on at Fortinet? I mean, they're always improving and adding new things. So it's always great to hear it from them. I've been away from Fortinet about 9 months, I believe, 8 months, 9 months.
Somewhere around
So
there. Missed you though.
yeah, but I do have my
Glad I
secret
could.
weapons that I
Yes,
still
you
can
do.
go and find out information. I'm
Yeah, I
not
guess.
saying about you,
They
man.
do.
I know you don't. You're very
No,
straight arrow.
no. Follow policy.
Yep.
That's right.
But it is
Well,
good to know what's out there, and it just helps me improve and help the customers, to be honest. So, but talking about that, Fortinet just released the view of the 90G.
yes,
Yeah, I saw
sir.
that today.
With the SP5 processing unit in it. Yes,
Yes,
sir. It's beautiful. That
those
is
G
a
series
welcome.
are slowly coming out.
That's a welcome addition to the portfolio to really separate ourselves from the other products that other vendors may offer. The 90Gs are going to be a game changer, especially in the mid and small market. Your power of the SP5 processor, and what a lot of people have to understand about the FortiGate firewalls, I like to compare us to Apple in some senses because we don't do things the way that the Ciscos and the Pans and the other vendors of the world do. We kind of take a counterclockwise motion to things, and so we build our own devices. That SP5 processor is an ASIC processor that's designed to speed up performance, deliver next generation firewall capabilities, move data through it better than any other vendor out there. And then when you're talking about the content processor and the general purpose workload processor, all three of those processors are in that one little small box. And that's providing that threat intelligence, that network traffic moving in and out of the box, the inspection, the deep SSL inspection that's available to you, the threat intelligence that is available to you on that box, and being able to provide you all that intelligence, all that power in a very small, energy efficient box that can deliver performance like nobody else's business. When we sit down and do comparisons, product comparisons, where we're talking about some of our competitors versus our smaller boxes, it takes their boxes 2 to 3 times the size of our little smaller 90Gs or our 60Fs or our 100F to even compare to what it's doing. Whether we're talking about next generation firewall throughput or IPS inspection, the number of policies that we can support, the number of VPNs, whether SSL or IPsec VPNs, or even down to SD-WAN in those little small boxes that we can support better than anyone else.
Yeah, no joke. You guys just threw up a YouTube video on the 90G 5 hours ago. So I mean,
Yes,
it's
sir.
like I'm staring right at it. You know, this
They're blitzing it.
super small form factor. What's it got? Eight Ethernet ports there, 2 WAN ports, 2 SFP plus interfaces as well. So 10 gig ready right out of the box in a
Yes, sir.
super small form factor. With the SP5. I mean, that's
Basically a desktop firewall for an enterprise environment.
Exactly.
It's funny that we're gonna record this yesterday, but we couldn't. Things came about, and now we're doing it, and this pops up the 90G. So it was great, perfect timing too.
All right, we gotta do a whole. We'll do a whole nother thing on it. We're gonna dive into it. We gotta get our hands on one.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Awesome.
Well, look.
Well, super appreciate. Yeah, are they? No, I don't see that yet.
I'll see when they're shipping and let Israel know when they're actually ready to ship. I know we're doing the product launch on it, so I'll get back with you on when the availability is and when we can go ahead and get you one over.
I think it's will come out in the next price book. So
yeah, most likely.
Yep.
Well, awesome. Well, Emanuel, this has been a great conversation. You know, it's a pleasure to meet you and chat with you about all the services and the components and a lot of what we do together and do together better. You know, like you mentioned, the marketing is a big piece. That's why we mesh so well, since XenTegra is so heavily involved in marketing. And it's like a lot of folks just don't get it. And it might seem like it's about building that community and getting people out of their comfort zone and out of their houses. You know, it's like, come check these things out. It's great. So the events, you know, we got some coming down the list. Always go to XenTegra.com/events. We got some blueprint lunches coming to a city near you. I think Raleigh is the next one on deck. Orlando shortly thereafter, next day even. And then we got a pretty stacked schedule in September. So Israel and I are sorting out how can we be on each coast every other day of the week.
Not only that, Canada too. Any listeners in Canada,
good luck on that one,
we're
gentlemen.
doing a blueprint. I was invited to go, but I couldn't. My kids are starting school. So, but definitely will be in Canada at the end of the month. And I'll be in Nashville. I'll be
experts event coming up. Yeah, we got to get our tickets for experts in Nashville.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll go from there. Yeah. So.
And then for the Fortinet side, for anyone that's needing, to know where the 40 Express is, that's our revamped semi-trailer truck that's packed with all the latest and greatest equipment, plus any of our other in-field marketing events, from the whiskey tastings to lunch and learns, etc. You can go to Fortinet.com. It's all up on the website, publicly facing. All the marketing events are right there on the front page.
Yeah, it's been a great season with the PGA Tour, I'll tell you what. So looking forward to that wrapping up in Napa Valley again next month.
Yeah, we just finished up the Fortinet Championship actually recently.
Yep.
Was that last week? Yeah. Yeah, so not a big golf fan, but I have to get into it at this point in time.
I mean, get outside, enjoy nature. You know, if you're missing your data center, Fortinet's probably got one in the 18-wheeler. Sitting out in the parking lot.
Yeah, Fortinet is investing in golf and that on that boat and F1.
F1, Formula One racing. So 3 key sports. All 3 I like. I'm not a sailboater, but I'll get on one as long as they got libations and cigars.
Well, before we head out, I do want to give a big news out there. XenTegra is finally a expert level on with Fortinet.
All right, great job, guys. Great accomplishment.
And another thing, congratulations to Chris on passing his NEC 6 today. Congratulations, man.
Yeah,
congratulations,
thank you very much,
Chris. Come on, man, you got to share that great news. That's not a small fet.
He actually got in on ADC.
On ADC at that. Wow. Okay. Not many people go down there, right?
He's the SME when it comes to load balancers. I tell you that.
He's the SME of ADC.
I do like him. I do like him. Hey, man, everything in the internet touches it. You're not touching a server directly anymore.
That's correct.
So,
that's correct.
Congratulations to Chris on that.
Hey, thank you,
Congratulations,
guys.
Chris. Man, well deserved. Good job. Those are not
Awesome.
easy things to get, especially ADC.
I took it for granted. I took the test twice. I took the first time for granted. There's some lingo that didn't transpose from some of the other vendors I was pretty versed in. So after
That's
I
one
finally,
thing
yeah,
that you
Oh,
have
yeah.
to learn when you come to Fortinet.
You
You're
got to be
learning those products.
fortified.
You
You got to
gotta
be
kind of
fortified.
throw everything
Yeah.
away and go back to basics.
I
Yeah.
just
Change
don't
that
understand
name.
why they didn't call it their WAF. I don't understand why they didn't call it FortiWAF.
Give it time.
They got give it
Oh,
time. We got FortiWeb, FortiADC, but where was
Somebody's
that?
already gonna have that name.
Yeah, give it time. Give it time. It'll come around.
Yeah.
It'll be fortified at some point in time in the 40 ecosphere.
Awesome.
Actually, there was, I believe, a photo WAF before.
There was
Yeah.
at one point in time, if I remember,
Yeah.
and then they did just WAF, and I'm not sure why, but we'll see.
Well,
Yeah.
see, I don't know the history. I learn something new every day. It was already here. It's gone, but maybe it'll come back.
It'll come back. It'll be reincarnated as a new 40 WAF.
I kind
WAF
of like the
2.0.
ADC though. It's straightforward. You cannot mess it up.
Yeah, no,
Sure.
but it doesn't fall in line. Like when you look it through the product list and you see 40 gate, 40 web, 40 cam, 40 switch, 40 SOAR, 40 SASE, and then ADC.
But if you look at like a NetScaler, I mean, what is NetScaler, right?
A WAF,
ADC.
an ADC. Yeah, I get it, but
I mean, F5.
an ADC, but they don't call it an ADC. They call it, when I was in the field and in the data center, they were, you had an F5. Okay, I know what that is. The load balancer. Yeah. Okay,
exactly.
I know where that is. Yeah.
Well known. They're well
Yeah.
known. They have some
Yeah,
good products.
They've been around for a while, but just like all dinosaurs, they go off to pasture at some point in time. Something comes along better.
Amen. They do. They do. They do. Well, awesome. Well, we'll wrap it up. We'll, be sure to check us out. Keep popping back up on the website as we're covering as many topics as we can as time allows. Just like Israel stated, we were supposed to do this yesterday, had to move it to today, but we're all, summer's usually slow. This year has not slowed down at all. If anything, it has accelerated like crazy, but we will do our best to bring you the latest and greatest and discussions and topics so that you're aware and can make the decisions that your organization needs to be successful in your journey. And if always, just like always, if you need anything at all, feel free to reach out to us and we'll get you set up. Thanks again, gentlemen.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Israel. Appreciate you guys having me today. It's been a pleasure and an honor.
Thank you very much. That was awesome.